This is Investor Perspectives. I'm the host of Investor Connect, Paul T. Martin, where we connect startups and investors for funding. In our new Investor Perspectives series titled How to Solve the Real Estate Problem, you'll hear about the participation in the real estate segment and what investors look for. As the COVID pandemic passes, we emerge into a new world. The real estate space is now undergoing tremendous change as we shift to a new normal way of life. Work from home and the shift to work from anywhere is changing the real estate market. We have investors and startup founders describe the changes coming up. We hope you enjoy the show. Need help in finding investors for your startup, fund, or angel group? 10 Capital provides funding as a service helping you find accredited investors. Contact 10 Capital to gain access to investors for angel and venture capital funds, family office rounds, and syndication raises. To learn more, go to 10capital.group. Our first guest is Kai Hatharamani, Chief Investment Officer at Thesaurus Group. Thesaurus Group is an award-winning multifamily-focused real estate investment firm that specializes in providing better homes for better lives throughout the United States Sunbelt region. They look for multifamily, student housing, and senior housing investments for their family office, high net worth, and institutional clients. Kai, thank you for joining us. And so what's your participation in the space so far? What are you guys investing in?
Yeah, so our company specifically focuses, and we're a family of companies, actually, that's a conglomerate. But our family of companies specialize in value-add multifamily. So we do product that's generally, historically, we've evolved from a smaller syndicator that was doing 70s and 80s, 1970s and 80s built rehab projects to now we focus primarily on larger 1990s, 2000s vintage product that's institutional, that's, sort of main and main type real estate. So that's what we do today.
And what do you look for to make an investment? What's your specific criteria in picking one deal over another?
Comes down to, I'd say, fundamentals is really, there's two things. So we're looking for the fundamentals of the asset and we're looking for the fundamentals of the renter base. So from an asset perspective, we're looking at average household incomes in the area. We're looking for home values, school districts, sort of the aspects that tell you well-located real estate and good real estate. That's one aspect of it. The second side of it is really the customer base. Is the customer base we're looking for over there. Now, as a company, we have a philosophy or a strategy built around a specific segment of the US population called what we call the knowledge worker. And these are the top earning segment. It's generally 50,000 and above incomes right out of college, and then they have this upward mobility trend for the rest of their careers. They line up in six-figure incomes. They're usually in the sciences and finance and mathematics, the STEM fields and technology fields, the biosciences fields, like those areas. Those folks tend to have very upwardly mobile incomes over the long run. So that is our target customer base as it comes in. So we really look for them and we cater to them. It bodes well for real estate. And then the last is obviously the business plan, the opportunity of the specific asset. In any given location, or for most locations really, but in any given location, there's generally a place you can play where there is a business plan that makes sense for a given asset. So we're looking for those opportunities as well.
Our next guest is Brent Bowers, CEO of the Land Sharks. The Land Sharks program is advanced online training that shows you how to build an income-generating machine that generates passive income on autopilot. Attracted an avalanche of sellers dominate this hidden real estate niche, which has virtually no competition. Stop dealing with desperate sellers, create a lifestyle business that practically runs without you, generate true legacy wealth without being a landlord and dealing with tenants, toilets, or termites. Brent, thank you for joining us. And then, so what is your participation in this space so far?
So with the land, my specialty is land. I started it in late 2015 when I was trying to get out of the military. I had a brand new family, newborn. I wanted to be home more often. So I was the guy out there, beating the streets, banging the palmettos, finding the land deals. And I built a team and it allowed me to ultimately exit the military to where I can live a life that I was on my terms, that no one told me I had to be up at 5 a.m. every morning anymore. And it worked out so well. The team flourished and we're doing well. And then I started coaching people how to do the same thing I'm doing. So it's been quite fascinating to see all this.
So what exactly do you invest in and what's your criteria for making a go, no-go decision on it?
My criteria is one, profit for that piece of land. So we obviously have to get it with the margin of safety, as Warren Buffett would say. We buy at a discount. We're not paying retail, obviously. So we get it for as little as possible. And we do two things. We either flip it really fast for a profit or wholesale it, like by signing our contract, getting it under contract and selling our contract. and make a quick profit that way. Or we buy it for super cheap, 20, 30, 40 cents on the dollar. And then we try and 3x our money by seller financing it to a buyer that's going to pay us monthly payments. That's kind of our two criteria for doing a land deal. Either buy it and quick flip or buy it and seller finance.
Our next guest is Lauren Hardy. Lauren is a real estate investor with a people-first approach to business, investing in hundreds of properties in her career, including developing spec houses in Nashville, Tennessee. Lauren has the unique reputation of being a successful virtual investor, having not lived in many of the states she's invested in. Lauren, thank you for joining us. And so what is your participation in the space so far?
I have an investment company. Our primary business is wholesaling. And we do that at volume. We are in 4 different territories. At minimum, we're doing 50 wholesale transactions per year. And then on the flip side, and I like to use my investment company kind of as a test kitchen for my coaching program. I'm a content creator. I've got a YouTube channel where I talk about all things virtual wholesaling. And I use my investment company as that test kitchen. So they're very much, linked in the ecosystem of each other. It's definitely a fun business. It's definitely changed a lot in the last 5 years, but you definitely have to be tough to be in this business and keep following up with the trends. And yeah, it takes a lot of that.
What do you look for to invest in real estate? What are the key criteria for a successful real estate investment?
I'm actually looking for more seller distress. So I'm looking for areas that still have some seller distress so I can get some deals. If it was for a buy and hold, let's say, I'm looking for an apartment building to invest in. I actually want to look more into that market and see that I'm investing in a healthy market that's emerging and growing. So I would look at like population trends. I would look at the unemployment rate trends for the last, I would say 5 years, except the last 2 years really, or last year, kind of confused things with COVID and unemployment. I would also look at job diversity. I like territories where there's a lot of job diversity. There's not just one employer that's employing 50% of the town. So yeah, those are things that I definitely look for.
And how far out would you invest? You talk about investing outside your backyard, but would it be anywhere in the U.S. or would it be outside the U.S. too?
I've not looked outside the US. I haven't. And I haven't really considered it either. Maybe one day, but not something I've looked into at all. But anywhere in the US, honestly. I mean, for me, some investors that focus on the out-of-state stuff, they say, oh, it needs to be at least 2-hour flight or 3. It can't be more than a 3-hour flight. Like they have these little rules. But for me, I'm a busy mom. And flying 3 hours is just as much. That wipes out my whole day. It doesn't matter, if I'm flying 3 hours or 5 hours. So I would look at anywhere in the U.S.
That's great. And where do you think the hot spots are today in the U.S. for doing these investments?
Gosh, I mean, there's a lot of really hot markets. If you are looking to say you want to do more buy and hold, let's talk about more emerging markets or markets that are buy and hold. One that I found really interesting was Birmingham, Alabama.
Really?
Birmingham has had their unemployment rate has fallen. Now I'm talking unemployment rate has fallen almost 50% in the last 5 years. And I believe it's because they had gotten some aerospace companies and tech companies moved there. So Birmingham, it's quite interesting. And their population, which is really interesting, the population hasn't grown very much. It has, but not much, not relative. Like it's not that the new, companies brought people. It's not like Nashville, where Nashville was new companies and population, incredible population growth. Birmingham was not like that. It almost looks more on a chart that those companies are employing the Birmingham residents. So it just improved the quality of life just overall improved there. So that's an area actually I've been quite interested in.
Our final guest is Wade McCully, founder and CEO at Realty Hive. Realty Hive is a proven global real estate platform that pairs intelligent digital marketing with strategic time-limited events to connect buyers and sellers from around the world faster than ever before. After working with financial institutions and even the federal government, Realty Hive revamped a retail version of the product to bring solutions to consumers and agents. Wade, thank you for joining us. So what is your participation here so far?
In the 27 months, we created $3.6 million in revenue. So that is proving out to be a very desirable product for consumers and agents. The other interesting thing that we feel strongly about is that when we are connected through the agent or through the consumer directly for our product of getting enhancement on that property and more buyers looking at it, we have an over 85% adoption rate. So there's definitely an attraction to what we're doing. And we recently added, as of the first quarter of this year, a new app that just launched called Cashified. And what that is doing is connecting consumers. It's an open architecture format. And what I mean by that is anyone can participate, whether they're an agent or a consumer trying to buy real estate or interested in buying real estate. What the platform does and what the app does is connects those two based on the agent willing to give a cashback offering to that consumer to work with them. So it's another piece that is it's just gaining massive traction for us right now. The consumers really like the aspect of the cashback and the privacy, and the agents love the aspect of they're only paying for something via cashback when they sell something, as opposed to paying up front a bunch of fees to get leads through a marketing campaign. So it's a real win-win. And we see not only our marketing side of it with the sellers, we see this from the buyer's perspective of getting more people engaged in our platforms.
Great. And so in the real estate space here today, what is one of the best investment theses you see out there?
From an investment standpoint, and I've done a lot of investments, whether it's strip malls and apartment buildings to developments, I think to answer that, really the best way to look at it is from a consumer's point of them getting into a real estate investment. I think the very first thing you really have to do is you have to determine how long you're going to be at this and how big do you want it to be, right? Because you can go from a simple buy, fix up, and flip to building apartments or doing developments. Those are much longer hauls. They're bigger dollars. So to me, they all have good points and they all have bad points. I personally am pretty heavily invested in developments and assisted living facilities. I've done a lot of the other stuff, but these are the two that really fit as an investor personally, that fit what I'm trying to achieve, plus everything else that we do. So it fits in nicely with our time frame, our allotted time that we have to work on it, and our ability to do a little bit larger projects. So if you were just going to get in today, I think you'd want to step back and analyze what all those opportunities are, and then what's your time commitment, what's your level of engagement going to be, because each one of them have different levels of time consumption and engagement needed.
Thank you for joining us today. As always, be sure to leave a review, subscribe to this podcast, and share it with others. Let's go start up something today.